Thank you. I'm Ken Jojo from IIJ and White Project. My talk is provide some evidence for Mike's point. We do need 100 gig. So I'm going to talk about the impact of the fiber access to ISP backbones in Japan. So here the number of residential broadband subscribers in Japan. So currently we have 21 million broadband subscribers and 4 million of fiber to the home. And the number is increasing, exponentially increasing. So a 100 Mbps bidirectional fiber access costs about $40 per month. It's fairly cheap in Japan. And the traffic comes from fiber users has a significant impact to the commercial backbone. So our findings, about 4% of heavy hitters account for 75% of the total inbound volume. The fiber users account for 86% of the inbound volume, so DSL is only 14%. So even though the number of DSL active users is larger than fiber, the distribution of heavy hitters follow power law, and there's no clear boundary between heavy hitters and normal users. Dominant applications have very poor locality and communicate with a wide range and number of peers. So we got a data set from one Japanese ISP. It's a net flow data. We get data from edge routers accommodating both fiber and DSL residential customers. Those are week-long logs from February and July last year. So the table showed the ratio of fiber and DSL unique users in the data set. So the number is almost same for DSL and fiber, but the heavy hitter population is larger in the fiber users. And this is the cumulative distribution of daily traffic per user. So left is total user, and middle is fiber, and right is DSL. So heavy hitters are statistically distributed over a wide range of traffic volume. So it follows power law. And even up to 200 gig per day, it's 90 Mbps on average. So it's huge. And as you can see, there's no clear boundary between heavy hitters and normal users. They are statistically distributed. And there is a need in the distribution. So we divide the user by the 2.5 gigabyte per day. And it's basically top 4% heavy hitters for the total user. So heavy hitters population is 4% in total users, 10% in fiber, and 2% in DSL. So this one shows the CDF is traffic volume of heavy hitters, how much traffic is consumed by the top heavy hitters. And it shows skewed distribution in traffic consumption. So top 4% heavy hitters is 70% of the total inbound traffic, and top 4% use 60% of the total outbound traffic. And here the scatter plot of correlation of inbound and outbound volumes per user. So left side is fiber and the right side of DSL. So there are two clusters identified in this figure. So one is below the unity line. These are normal users, so download volume is about 10 times larger than the upload. And in the higher volume region, there are heavy hitters. But we can't see any qualitative differences between fiber users and DSL users, except the percentage of heavy hitters are different. Again, there is no clear boundary between heavy hitters and normal users. This is the number of active users. So heavy hitters are fairly constant. That indicates traffic is automatically generated. This one shows a weekly traffic. It normalized to the combined peak. So fiber peak is about 80% of the combined peak. So the top graph shows the total fiber user traffic, and the middle is heavy hitters. So for heavy hitters, inbound is much larger than the outbound, and for normal users, it's reversed. So in the total, it's counterbalanced. So this is DSL users traffic, so it's much lower. When we look at port numbers, 83% is TCP, dynamic ports, and the largest one is only 1.4%. So we can't use TCP port numbers to identify applications. Here's a geographic traffic matrix. We classify traffic into residential broadband users and other domestic, meaning non-broadband. So it includes data centers and leased lines and international traffic. We use commercial geo-IP databases to classify these the traffic, and we found 62% of residential traffic is user to user, and 90% is inside Japan among RBB and domestic. So possible reasons are we do have language and cultural barriers. Most contents are in Japanese, and people don't speak English that much in Japan. But another reason is there are lots of peer-to-peer supernodes among bandwidth-rich domestic fiber users. So that could be another reason. So I'll skip these. So we also count the peer numbers for each users, but we expected two different application types. One is, one should have a few peers for video streaming or downloading from servers, and another should have a large number of peers for peer-to-peer file sharing. But we couldn't find clear difference of these two. These are, again, statistically distributed. So I'll skip this. So implications. So how am I doing? 2 minutes, okay? So we tend to attribute the skews in distribution to the divide between the handful heavy hitters and the rest of the users. But there are diverse and widespread heavy hitters. And heavy hitters are no longer exceptional extremes. There are too many of them, statistically distributed over a wide range. And it's more natural to think casual users start playing peer-to-peer applications, become heavy hitters, and eventually shift from DSL to fiber. Or sometimes users subscribe to fiber first and then look for applications to use the abundant bandwidth. So is this specific to Japan? Could be. But other countries will take some time to deploy fiber access. But this could be a model of widespread, symmetric residential broadband access. Anyway, we need to reevaluate pricing and the cost structure of ISP industry. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.